Bahima tribe of southwestern Uganda. Here are 10 facts about these beautiful people. Some are disturbing, some ruthless, and some that feel like history just dared them to go too far. 10 facts that might shock you, offend you, or make you wonder how these people didn't just get cancelled by history itself. Forget what you learned in history class. By the time you're done, you'll either respect the Hima or start double-locking your door at night. Let's begin. Alright, let's dive right into the basics, shall we? Where else would we begin? Number 1. Who are these guys and where did they come from? The Hima are a pastoralist subgroup of the Banyankole, who are native to the grasslands of southwestern Uganda. Historians have documented that the Bahima, along with the Bahororo, the Banyamulenge, and the Tutsi, are essentially cousins who made their way to the Great Lakes region of East Africa from what is today known as Ethiopia, sometime between 1300 and 1500 AD. As they migrated, it is thought they entered Uganda from the northeast, pushing southward in search of fresh pastures and grazing lands, eventually settling down in what is now southwestern Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, eastern Congo, and northwestern Tanzania. Historian Christopher Ehret traces the Bahima's ancestry to a blend of Southern Cushitic, who arrived in the Great Lakes region with a strong cattle herding tradition, Eastern Sudanic, that is Nilotic-related agro-pastoralists, who influenced their language and culture, Central Sudanic groups who contributed customs such as excluding women from milking cattle, and the Bantu Rutara expansion, through which the Bahima adopted a Bantu language. Number 2, let's look at their phenotype. Observers have described the typical Muhima of pure descent as being tall, with a body and limbs that are perfectly proportioned. Their nose tends to be longer, more prominent, and finer, and the lower part of their face is narrower compared to the average black African. Some of them even have a lighter skin tone, like a dark bronze shade, but they all share that woolly hair texture. It is these kinds of details that paint a vivid picture of their unique physical traits. Number 3. It's fascinating how many folks have pointed out striking similarities between the Somali Gajeel clan and the Bahima. This particular Somali clan, the Gajeel, is actually called Hima, and they're known for being super nomadic, just like the Bahima in Uganda. Observations like these have really bolstered the theory that ties their origins back to the Horn of Africa, specifically Ethiopia and Somalia. It makes you wonder about the ancient migrations and how cultures can echo each other across distances. Number 4. From what history and everyday conversations tell us, the Banyankole are often seen as the most arrogant tribe in Uganda. People from Ankole come across as incredibly assertive, full of confidence, and stubbornly determined in the best way possible. A lot of Ugandans joke that it is just in their genes, this drive to push their ideas forward no matter what they're aiming for. And here's the big example they always bring up. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni hails from Ankole. His leadership style, especially his grip on the presidency after almost 40 long years, perfectly illustrates that assertiveness and stubborn streak that defines the Banyankole. Number 5. When it comes to Hima women, oh boy, people have all sorts of opinions flying around. Some say they are amazing in bed, but not so keen on manual labor. That they only really know how to whip up katogo. And that they are stunningly beautiful, yet carry themselves with a ton of pride, because they truly know their value. I'm not here to confirm or deny all that gossip, but let me just share my 2 cents. These are hands down the most gorgeous African women I've ever laid my eyes on. Hima women are built like nature was showing off. Full curves, perfect symmetry, and hips that could cause border disputes. They were born with a kind of behind that makes you forget your PIN number. They make the idea of a BBL seem like a bad joke. Their faces carry that Rwandan elegance, soft, flawless, and just a little heartbreaking, while their voices stay gentle, their movements graceful. It is a deadly combination, a beauty that walks up to you politely and quietly rearranges your whole life. These women are just beautiful. Case closed.
Abarungi abakutureba ntakabeera njurire reka mbanze mbaramutye umwizina eryatateyitwe n'omwana n'omwoyo rukwera. Amazina ninye Ndyamuhakimasi omwana orukuruga Burengero izoba bwa Uganda ningasho mujunge kyakweta Western Uganda.
Number 6. This one really caught me off guard and left me a bit shocked. Their marriage customs are intense, to say the least. They kind of traumatized me when I first heard about them. On the wedding day, there's a big feast at the bride's home where her father slaughters a bull, and simultaneously, there's another celebration at the groom's place to officially consummate the marriage. But before any of that can happen, there is this final ceremony that is mandatory, overseen by the bride's aunt. It involves the aunt actually testing the groom's sexual prowess by sleeping with him herself. The goal? To confirm he is potent and capable. During this intimate encounter, she picks up on all of his techniques and preferred styles, so she can pass on tips to her niece about what the groom actually enjoys in bed. Once everything checks out and she's given her approval, the aunt then educates the bride and sends her off to the husband with the full blessings to start their life together. Now, just picture the awkwardness if the aunt ended up pregnant from that. Number 7. There is this Hima tradition that could make a lactose-intolerant person cry. Forced feeding. From about 8 or 9 years old, girls are put on a milk marathon, drinking until their cheeks, arms, and hips announce to the whole village, this one is ready for marriage. In Ankole, being slim is not just unattractive, it is suspicious, like maybe you are sick or cursed. Big is beautiful, and the fatter you get, the faster the aunties start whispering about dowries. It's all about accelerating their weight gain to make them more appealing in the marriage market and help them snag a good husband sooner rather than later. Number 8. Based on data from back in 1969, the Hima and the Tutsi groups were found to have the enzyme for tolerating milk sugar lactose, which is something super common in Cushitic populations. In contrast, other Bantu-speaking tribes were mostly lactose intolerant. Fast forward to 2007, and the geneticist Sarah A. Tishkoff came to similar findings and conclusions. So, what does all this imply? It suggests they are not originally Bantu. This lactose tolerance trait is mostly seen in cattle herding Cushitic and some Nilotic groups. Yet, here's the twist: they speak a Bantu language. However, the Banyankole language they speak has some Cushitic influence in the form of loanwords and cattle-related terminology, as well as possibly a few phonetic features. Number 9. Did you know these people have an almost spiritual bond with cows? Not like full-on worship in a religious way, but close enough. Only death could pry them apart from their cows. And have you seen those long-horned cows of theirs? Oh my gosh, they are absolutely majestic creatures. The Bahima cherish their cattle so much that explorer Gaetano Casati wrote about how, after a Sudanese raid into Bahororo that stole 10,000 cattle, the Bahima chose to serve the Sudanese as herdsmen rather than lose their beloved animals. They even followed the raiders voluntarily, bringing their families along. All Banyankole hold certain cattle in such high regard that is almost like reverence. For instance, those born as twins called Mpasha. Now, when a Bahima boy hits 4 months old, they don't just hand him a toy. They stick him on a cow's back with a bow, arrow, and rope, apparently preparing him for being a warrior. They also have a strict no-iron policy for milk storage, convinced that using anything but wooden bowls, gourds, or clay pots will somehow make their cows die. And forget showers. Water is practically demonized. Instead, they take dry baths, smearing themselves in butter and red earth like they are marinating for a barbecue, then letting it dry before adding more butter for good measure. The belief? If a man let water touch his body, it could curse his cows and even his family. So basically, cleanliness might be next to godliness everywhere else, but not here. Okay, I get how weird all this sounds. Don't come at me, guys. Blame Wikipedia. Number 10. This part might tug at your heartstrings and make you feel a little bit sorry for them. The Hima have not always been the darlings of the social ladder. In fact, in some places, they were not even on the ladder. In Burundi, they ranked below both Tutsis and Hutus, forbidden from marrying into the royal Ganwa dynasty, kept out of the court, and politely told to stay out of public affairs like unwanted guests at a party. In Buganda, they were pushed to the edges of society, babysitting cattle for Ganda chiefs in a place where farming was king and cow herding got you about as much prestige as cleaning latrines. They were called slaves, mocked as culturally inferior, and treated like background scenery. Even in their own turf, Ankole, the Hindu rulers snickered at the more nomadic Hima, branding them tick eaters. It's a reminder of how social hierarchies can flip depending on the context. Remember how I said 10 facts? I lied. Here is a bonus fact. So, number 11. The Bahima ran a caste system so airtight it could give medieval Europe a run for its money, placing themselves at the top as the untouchable ruling elite and banning marriages with the Bairu, the farming class they've historically bossed around. Think Rwanda's Tutsi-Hutu divide, but with more cows and fewer wedding invitations. Among the Banyankole, it is basically two worlds: the Bahima, who strutted around as rulers, and the Bairu, who grew food but somehow still ranked below the people eating it. Colonial rule only poured cement into this social wall, turning it into a full-blown hierarchy where the Bahima were deemed superior in absolutely everything. It's a complex social dynamic that shaped their interactions for generations. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Till the next video, Take care of yourself, and I will see you. Bye.